Oh,
Um,
damn it. I think we've spoken about it briefly, but not since we decided
not
to do a listener meetup.
Yay. So
Yay.
we have the dates set and the
hmm
place, the city, but not the venue yet. But we're going to meet at an as yet undetermined pub in Glasgow on
Yep.
Wednesday, July 17th. I posted that on Facebook, and a bunch of people are like, "Oh yeah, I got to make it there." So it
Oh,
seems like
amazing.
people are interested. Yeah, they're going to, like, someone's taking the train up from London, hopefully. And
Oh, that's
Jennifer
amazing.
McGinley even had a name of a place in
Of
mind. I
course.
forgot to
I
look
knew
it up,
Jennifer
but
would
yeah.
have good recs. Yeah, yeah.
So maybe we'll go there. But anyway, if anyone can make it July 17th, they're a blast. I was always sort of nervous about having meetups until I actually did it. You know, we used to do them every convention when I was at Walker Stalker, and they're just really fun. And, you know, they're social lubricant, and we have
hmm
all these topics ready made to talk about with The Walking Dead and everything. So it's really fun. I will put out an event post on Facebook at some point, and it'll have more details, and people can RSVP, and we'll just tell more details on the podcast too as we get closer.
Yeah. And if you're like, oh, I've never been to Scotland, but I've always wanted to go to Edinburgh, Edinburgh's like less than an hour on the train from Glasgow, and Glasgow's great. So come to Glasgow and then go to Edinburgh the next day. You won't regret it, I promise.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to the Isle of Skye and visit my favorite just
Yeah.
whiskey place, Talisker.
We
That'll be fun.
are. We're gonna go to Loch Tay as well and go and jump in some freezing water, which I think will be good for the soul. In July in Scotland, it'll still be freezing.
Okay, let's get on to The Walking Dead season 2, episode 9. Trigger Finger. What did you think about this one?
Yeah, it's funny. This episode, the one before and the one after, really run together for me, but particularly this one in episode 8, they feel like they could just be one big long episode. So
Mm-hmm.
I got a bit confused when we were recording on episode 8, not talking about what happens in this episode. I enjoyed it. I liked the tension of the gunfight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is some cool character stuff in this, particularly quieter moments with like Carol and Daryl and Andrea. Um, it's a real turning point episode for how I felt about Laurie. Like she goes kind of full Lady Macbeth in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still not sure quite how I feel about that. And there's actually a line in the script that I still don't understand, and I was hoping you would have clarity on, but I can talk about that when we get to our points.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think Karen and I talked about the Macbeth thing back in the day too.
Yeah.
Clearly that's what they had in mind when they staged that scene with her whispering in his ear, "Kill Shane,"
Yeah, I mean,
basically.
it's so OTT. Like I was watching
Yeah,
it and I was
it's
like,
great
oh, the
though.
reason
I liked it.
the reason this sticks out is because it really does suddenly go like, he wants what's yours. He thinks
Yeah,
I'm
she's
his. And
just
I'm like,
like,
whoa.
yeah. There's
Because
a
Laurie's
rhythm
usually
to it.
quite, she's a bit whingy and a
It'd be
bit
fun if he
like
was like,
normal.
what are you doing?"
Get off me. Why are you on me?
Yeah,
Get off me,
yeah.
Gollum.
You're telling me to kill Shane? Shh, shh.
Yeah.
He's
The
in the
fuck's
next
wrong with you
tent.
women?
I thought the episode had the best part up front, and then you know, it's weird because it's feeling very soap opera y to me right now, and not like extreme soap, but so I shouldn't have
Mhm.
said very. It's feeling soap opera to me, I guess.
Yeah.
And so like I like character drama,
Mhm.
but I think the thing is that Darabont is a film director. I think this is the only show he ever did. And so he
Mm.
structured it like a 12-hour movie, basically.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of twists and turns. There's some, but not a lot. It's not that
Mm.
complicated. And so in order to fill that out, they had to have a lot of interpersonal conflicts and things. And
Right.
a lot of time with soaps, because they had 5 episodes a day, they had to sort of manufacture a lot of drama in places where people could, if they just chilled out a little bit like normal people do, or
Right?
then it wouldn't be so dramatic. And so it feels a little bit forced at times.
Mhm.
And so like I was okay with that at first, but I'm remembering why season 2 wasn't one of my favorites, because it just feels like it's repetition, and it is intensifying, but it's the same. Shane's story is the same the whole time. Like he's just getting more and more of a hothead, and his way's the right way for 12, 13 hours, you know?
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I look back on these episodes nostalgically. I did enjoy it. I very even the second half, but I still prefer, I think, the Angela Kang era. And I remember watching this the first time being like, oh, we're finally getting some zombies, because that was way more on my mind back then. And even now it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I think the zombie stuff in this episode is very cool with Lori, and the stuff during this shootout I loved.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So that's my thoughts. Shall we get into our
Yeah.
points? Go ahead.
Let's do it. Well, we could talk about the cold open. I have to say my notes are really chronological this week. I don't really have topics so much as like just general thoughts. The open with Laurie unconscious and sort of waking up. I love what they do with the camera angles and the way that the credits cut out her scream, just as it kind of goes, yeah, and then it like cuts out. I'm like, that's fun.
Yeah. It's artful. There was the camera angle of her trying to get, because the car's on the side, trying to get out the top window, and the camera's above, like rotating, I think, counterclockwise. And then later on, when Rick is going to check on Glenn after he was shot at, and they think maybe he was shot, he's up against the wall and the camera's above, and it's just nicely presented.
There's a lot of disorienting camera angles. Even that first shot where we're looking up at Rick's gun again, opening another episode looking at the barrel of Rick's gun.
Trigger finger.
It's just done incredibly well. I liked as well how disoriented we were with Laurie, that you don't actually know which way is up when she's in the car,
right?
Like when they're
that's cool.
When they're filming it, and that shot from above, you're like, where is she? Is she climbing up? Is she kind of coming out?
It gives you the feeling of having been in a car accident yourself, kind of.
Yeah. And I will give Laurie this. She is kind of a badass in this scene, in that, you know, she keeps her cool, she grabs the gun. I'm attributing that to the fact that Judith is in this scene. I'm like, well, Judith's around. Energy. She's obviously a badass now. Yeah, I loved that. And I loved the kind of Mouth of Sauron-esque zombie getting its face stuck on the plate glass as it started trying to go through and eat her.
Push through.
Oh, it was so cool.
Lips pulled back.
Oh, disgusting, but awesome.
Really cool.
And yeah, Laurie manages to get the gun, manages to shoot Zed right in the head. She copes with a surprise Zed. She manages to kind of nut it with a wheel trim. And she does essentially save herself. Like, Shane comes to get her, but I think, you know, I think she had it. He didn't save her. He just found her. Found her on the road. So yeah, but the way she is later in the episode, there is a line that really confuses me, where Shane and Laurie are having heart to heart, and it gets very heated. And she calls his bluff by telling him that she told Rick about the baby, and Shane actually looks quite ashamed. He's like, you tell him it was a mistake, tell him you thought you were a widow, and she's like, basically, yes. He talks about what we had, it was real, it was a long time coming. Laurie says it wasn't, and then he talks longer and says, like, it was the one good thing, the world was falling apart, we hit each other. He says all that to her, and then she says, you know it's true.
No, he said that.
Who said that?
Shane said that. You know,
but his mouth isn't moving.
Well,
when someone says, you know it's true. Well, is he a fucking ventriloquist? Because I really thought it was Laurie that said it. That at the very end of the scene, he says also the one good thing, there's silence. And then it's, pretty sure no, it's true. It really sounded like her. Could listeners write in about this? Because it's going to bug me. Otherwise, I really thought it was her. Because if it's her...
Let me pull it up.
If it's her, then it changes...
Let's see.
Everything. Doesn't change everything. It just makes it a bit more nuanced, I guess.
Hold on. Let me call it up here. Okay, here goes.
It was the one good thing. You know it's true.
Yeah.
It's her!
No, it's him. I saw his mouth move. It didn't move
his
much.
His mouth did not move.
Yes, it did. He said, you know it's true. Okay, well, I see it moving and I hear his voice and it makes sense that it's his dialogue. So
yeah, okay, but I still don't think his mouth moved. Maybe it's been a long week. Anyway.
He's just like, and you know it's true. Like that. I don't know why you did it that way.
I can't say, hang on. You know it's true. I can't. Anyway, okay, cool, whatever. Cool. What have you got about Laurie?
Well, first off, I was glad to get an episode with zombies, and it felt like a zombie movie. And we didn't mention it last time, but I think there were only 2 Zeds in the last episode. One was Beth and Maggie's mom grabbing at Beth, and the other one was the one that Laurie ran into. So that was very short.
Yeah, not a lot of zombie action at all.
But Laurie, first off, I'm not super clear on what the point was of having Laurie go off to get Rick and get in a car accident. Was it just for some thrills? Because that was worth it for me. I love this scene. But maybe it was just to have Shane go and get her and then lie to her about Rick, just to have, I don't know.
To draw them to this conclusion about him lying. Yeah. Well, it was also a way to get the baby secret out.
Yeah, but I was thinking that too, but they could have just, I mean, because they just said it in front of everybody. They could have just had that without this whole thing. But anyway, all the things you talked about, I loved. I think it is good that, like, she's trying to get out, but she can't. And then she pulls something off the car, like a gear shift or a blinker or something, and stabs it in the eye. That was badass. And it was kind of like how we will end up seeing people kill Zeds over the years in the show, stick them with something in the head. And then when she gets out and it feels safe for a second, and you've just been hearing that one zombie go, la, 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 and she gets out, and then you see the one quietly stumble around the back of the car, and she can't see it for a second. You're like, oh, look out. That was such a great little moment. And then she sees it and kicks its legs out from under it. And then she's crawling away and it's grasping for her. And then, she hits it with that like hubcap or whatever. And then, she sees the gun and just nails it right between the eyes. That was a great sequence. And I think Laurie deserves credit for all that. She handled that really well.
Yeah, agree.
Especially early on when people have not been that great with the zombies. Yeah. Maybe Sophia would still be alive if Laurie had been the one to go after her. Who knows?
Oh, who's to say?
Okay. My first point is foreshadowing, or at least things that make me think of future developments in the series. I noticed. Oh,
I'm really glad you have this one.
Kind of a lot of these. Yeah, you can jump into. That one is one. That Laurie stabbing that Zed through the eyes, a preview of how they'll kill so many more in the series. We thought Glenn could be dead in this episode for a second, but he was hiding behind a dumpster.
Awful. I was like, no, he got dumpster.
Seems familiar. But they handled it quickly, which
truly
people don't get pissed off by that. We didn't have to wait 2 episodes. Carl is asking about the baby, when he finds out, is it a boy or a girl? And Laurie says, we won't know until it's born. And that just made me think of when it is born, when Judith's born.
Because she won't know.
Carl's there. Yeah. And it's like, right now it's a happy thing to think about, but it doesn't end up so happy when it happens.
Countdown to disaster, really, isn't it?
Yeah. At least Judith is safe. Yeah. It's interesting. They're about to cut Randall's leg off, and Herschel's kind of directing them how to go about it. And then later, Herschel loses his leg.
I thought that was really cool. Like, Rick clearly remembered the advice.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Because Rick does it. Because Rick says, is there a hatchet? And then Herschel says, well, where I'm going to cut is... I didn't listen to the medical incidents.
Right.
But it's like, oh, yeah, Rick's going to have to do that quite soon.
Andrea this is going to happen very soon, but Andrea being really supportive with Maggie, and Beth, she's like, you just be strong for her and she'll be okay. It's like, oh, way to go, Andrea. And then next episode or 2, she's like helping Beth commit suicide when she was supposed to be watching her.
Yeah.
That's what made me hate Andrea, I remember the most. Herschel sits down with Beth and pulls out his pocket watch. I guess he's just keeping track of time.
One of the show icons. No, he's doing her blood pressure.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. And so I looked up the trajectory of that watch. I remembered he gave it to Glenn as a show of acceptance, right? Accepting him into the family with Maggie and everything. After Glenn died, Maggie put it on his grave. And then I guess Gregory stole it for some reason, but Maggie got it back. And she gave it to Enid, but then Enid later gave it back to Maggie. And Maggie has it still in Dead City, at least from what I read, which is like 5 years after the end of The Walking Dead. So
at least, yeah.
Still around, at least. And then Rick and Lori in the tent. This is more foreshadowing that's going to happen soon, but just telling him basically to kill Shane. He later does kill him, and maybe her putting that into his head made it a little more likely that he would go that route, you know?
But she doesn't like it when he does it.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's Lori.
Yep. She's like, what did you do? And it's like, what you told him to do.
Right. Oh my God. It's like a Alfred Hitchcock episode or something. Go kill him. Okay, I killed him. Why?
Why did you do that?
And then Rick saying, I killed 2 people today because of you and Carl and the baby. It was going to be me and not them, no matter what. It's just so Rick going forward, ruthless in the name of the people he cares for. And it also made me just aware of how he actually loses both of them, Lori and Carl, and it's really sad. But he still has Judith, and he has Michonne and RJ. So still has a family.
RJ. I was looking at Carl's hat in this episode, and I was like, yeah, it's so weird that we see Judith and RJ wearing that in future. That's cool.
Right. Yeah. All right. That's all I got for that one.
All right. What have I got? Daryl and Carol. Carol, I'd forgotten, kind of pulls him back into the group. She sort of... I think this is a really cool character beat for Carol, which is, although her heart's breaking because of Sophia and everything that's happened to her, she recognizes that Daryl's at a kind of on a knife edge about going feral again and leaving the group. And twice in this episode, she reaches out to him about pulling back and being angry, and she really sees that what he's actually going through is anger and hurt about Sophia. And there's this scene with them that I think is really interesting where Daryl's actually super fucking mean to her, like really unpleasant.
Yeah, he says like the cruelest possible thing you could say to a mother that just lost her daughter. It's your fault.
Yeah, he also called Lori a dumb bitch, which is not the nicest thing to call her.
He's emotionally distancing himself from everyone.
He's got some Daryl sass. He talks about Carol being a piece of work. Ain't you a peach? I've written that it's a real gone git scene where you're like pushing the dog away because you love it so much and you just want it to be safe. And I think the thing that kind of diffuses it is really sad in a way. So she finds him in this kind of feral campsite with his squirrels and his ears out. And she lets him really take out his hurt and says, go ahead, because she knows what it's really about. But there's a point where he gets too close and she flinches because it's obviously instinctive because of Ed and his violence towards her. And I don't think Daryl was ever going to hit her. But I think that moment where she's scared actually takes him down from what he's being in that moment, which is pretty monstrous. And then the next day he does come in and participate with the group again. And that clearly means a lot to her. And you see her smile. So yeah, I like that. It's good. I forgot how well they built up Carol and Daryl's relationship.
I know. And now we're going to go into Daryl Dixon, the Book of Carol. And I think The Walking Dead YouTube or maybe on Twitter or something, they recently posted a clip of the Cherokee Rose episode just reminding us of the beginnings of their relationship and how far back it went in preparation for, the Book of Carol.
It's so... The two of them just kind of really creep up on you in this season. And I think they're two of my favorite characters to watch in the rewatch, knowing where they get to and how so much of where they get to is about that relationship. Because like, obviously Rick goes to interesting places, so does Maggie. But I feel like with Daryl and Carol, so much of it is about how they relate to one another and that relationship being the constant thing between the two of them. And it's just really powerful. Like, I just think it makes them both incredibly compelling to watch. And I think what Carol does in this episode is really a key point for Daryl going forward, that she doesn't let him fold out. Because I don't think anyone else in the group really would care as much as Carol does at that point.
No. And she cares because she is connected to him, but also, because he's the only one she's connected to, and she just lost her daughter, so she doesn't want to lose him too. So it's for her own personal reasons, but also as well as just knowing him and how he is and what he needs.
And it's also really funny that with Daryl, it's all just there under the surface. Like within seconds, he's like, "You think this is about my dad? You think this is about my dad and shit?" And I'm like, "Oh my God,
It's
mate,
about your dad,
yes,
dude.
clearly it's about your dad."
Like, I wasn't gonna think that, but now that you say it like that.
Carol's like, "I was just coming to ask you for dinner, but now you're yelling about my dad." Like, God, just gonna ask you to hang your squirrels somewhere else. Like,
You said he came back around at the end. What happened? I think I might have missed that. Like he
he what? Sorry.
seems. You said he like came back into the group or something at the end, or did I
Yes, at the
misunderstand?
end, he comes in for the discussion about Randall.
Okay, so you think that the way Carol handled that helped him?
Yeah, he walks into the room to be part of that discussion, and you see they shoot it so that you see Carol kind of acknowledging that and him acknowledging her. And I
Hmm.
think that's him saying, "Okay, I'm going
Okay,
to be
I
part of this
missed that.
group now." As well as wearing
Yeah,
a shirt. I still find it funny when Daryl's wearing like a button down, which he does in this episode. I'm like, doesn't look like him, but okay.
because yeah, I think everything you said is totally right on about this exchange and these two characters, and that she understood where he was coming from and she handled it in just the right way to help him feel safe to express himself and still be a
Yeah.
part of the group and all that. But in the moment, I'm just because I always talk about how I try to differentiate how I respond to these situations emotionally and then from a storytelling level. Storytelling level, I think it's brilliant. Emotionally, I was like, "Fuck you, Daryl! You're such a big baby.
I
Like, come
know.
on, you're mean." I wouldn't have been as I that's not how I handle that kind of a thing, and I wish I was more
No.
like Carol. But I just lash out, and then later on we both go sorry.
I know.
You know,
And we're looking at it
'cause-
from the perspective of knowing that like they have 14
yeah,
years of this really rich friendship. But at the time, it's just like, why is she wasting her time with this asshole? Like
yeah,
he's
fuck off,
really,
buddy.
yeah, like you can't talk to people like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, this is the worst. Like, she just lost her daughter, and he's like, if you had just paid more attention to her, she would be still here." Which, come on, they were
Mhm.
attacked by a horde of Zeds, but he's just coming from a reactive, emotional place, and he doesn't really mean it.
He's also voicing some of the things that they're probably all thinking, including Carol, which is that when something horrible happens, you go over the things and go, if only this had
Oh, yeah.
happened, if only this had happened. But he's
Right.
using it in a really malicious way here, and it's not okay. You
Yeah.
can think it, don't say it, you know?
I mean, I've been going down, or I go down these rabbit holes on YouTube watching different types of videos. And lately I've been watching people who have Tourette's syndrome, but
Oh,
it's
interesting.
there's only like 10% of people who have Tourette's have the type where you actually say like curse words and stuff.
Mhm.
And there's different forms. Some is how you can do inappropriate gestures, but also words. And it's really fascinating because they will say things like, the worst thing you could say, racial things.
Mhm.
And just like it is something that's relevant to the situation. Like I saw this one woman who's on YouTube that has Tourette's was collaborating with this other YouTuber, and when she got up to walk to the other part of the room, she just goes, "Where's your butt?" Like that, and the girl's
Amazing.
like, "Oh, that one hits close to home," and she's
Yeah.
like has no control over it, and she's like, the woman with Tourette's is super sweet, but she'll say the most vile things, and so there's some part of her brain that understands that this is the inappropriate thing to say right now, even if she's not really feeling it, or it's
Mhm.
not what she would ever want to say, and so I think sometimes when we have arguments like this, which is why I'm bringing this up, that kind of stuff can come out, even though it's not really how we feel. It's just something that we know is the worst thing right now, and so we're lashing out, and so it comes out.
I have a bad verbal trigger finger for saying things like that in arguments. I'm a horrible person to have an argument with.
And you're so
Because
clever
I
that it
will
can really
say,
cut, I'm sure.
"Oh, I say such mean shit. It's horrible," and I always regret it. And I'm always like, "Oh no, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have said that." But yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
Yeah, but it was interesting. Daryl was a lot more like he was when we first met him in season 1. I forgot
Mhm.
that he got like that again. I thought it was just season 1 because I don't remember him. Maybe we'll see, but I don't remember him getting just losing it like that. I mean, he's always gruff and he yells at people, but not like this where he's just so vicious. Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
think Daryl's big shift comes when Shane dies, because I think
Mm.
it opens up that I don't think Daryl's ever going to get to be his full self when Shane is there, because I don't think Shane I don't think Shane ever bothers to look beyond the surface with Daryl, whereas I think Rick does. But I
Hmm.
think as long as Shane is there, there's no space for Daryl to be the person he is, or the person that he can be as his best self. So for
Mm.
me, I think season two we still have slightly feral Daryl, but I think in season three we start to see the shift. And then it's like his relationship with Judith, and then in season four you see when they start bringing people into the prison, he's this figure of respect, like that little dorky kid saying like, "Oh, Mr. Dixon, can I shake your hand?" Like that's kind of the shift. And like Carol's like, "I knew you before you were famous." And it's having that esteem from other people that I think starts to pivot him into being the character that we see en français in Paris, in
Right.
Montmartre.
The cultured man.
The cultured man who likes
You
Jim Morrison, you know?
know. Right. Yep. Yep. He's a pillar of the community and a hero and all that.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
he's just stand-up guy. Stand-up guy. Never get cancelled. Good thing Daryl didn't have Twitter. He'd get cancelled.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've said it. Like, I think the zombie apocalypse was good for him. as for his personal growth, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, my next one is Randall and his group, and I
Fucking
think
Randall, man.
Randall. Here we go into Randall territory,
Oh,
and
jeez.
the introduction of Randall, I feel like is set up in a way so that it can be a moral debate for us, the audience. Something The Walking Dead does so well, and
He's
this is
such a
like
dweeb as well. He's such a little dork.
that's part of it. You
He
know, him
is.
being
He's
so
tiny.
like
He's a kid.
goofy. Yeah, he's a kid.
He's a kid.
And I think in order to set this up as a debate, you have to make it reasonable to take either side of the debate for the audience, you know, and some people will naturally go to one side and some to the other and some more in the middle. So I have the argument, at least we'll be talking about this more in the next couple episodes, but right now, argument for FU Randall and argument for helping Randall. So for FU Randall, he's part of a group that just had a shootout with Rick and Herschel and Glenn. And so whatever this group is like, they're enemies now.
Yeah.
And as Andrea says to Shane, if he finds his people and leads them here, we'll have a war on our hands, which is a good, we know they're desperate to stay on the farm. You know, they're looking for something. We know he's associated with Dave and Tony, who are clearly dangerous and desperate. And Tony at least just seems like an unhinged kind of a bad guy, pissing and asking if they have any coups, which we didn't talk about last week, but it was clearly like a huge giant red flag. Like,
awful.
Yeah. And Glenn is even arguing to leave Randall. He says he was just shooting at us and this place is crawling with walkers. And I have to admit, because I've been on Randall's side, if you listen to the podcasts before, but in this moment, I was like, that is a good point. He was just shooting at them and he's stuck there and walkers are coming. And as much as I've argued for not killing Randall, right now in this situation where their lives are all in the line, there is a part of me that's like, maybe just leave him there and get the fuck out of there, you know?
Yeah. Well, at one point, is it Herschel or Glenn says it's cruel or something? Like,
well,
Herschel's like,
saying,
just kill him.
Let's finish him off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shane spent a lot of the season being mad that anyone was allowing Zeds to be in this barn, endangering them, and they take care of it. And then Herschel and Rick bring home this dude from a group of guys they were fighting with. I'm like, I don't blame Shane for being like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Yeah. So, argument for helping Randall. As Rick keeps saying, he's just a kid. And I love the way the episode keeps it unclear who his crew is. They don't show them close up. I think they're keeping them kind of mysterious by design so that we will not just take the side of fuck him. They don't necessarily, nothing they say seems bad. I don't think they say, we don't want any trouble. We're just looking for our friends. And then they find out these strangers killed their friends and they get hostile, but that seems like understandable. We just see them outside, not in focus. We hear them talking. The one guy shoots Glenn and shoots at Glenn and Herschel shoots him and he falls screaming, but still no close-ups, always far away. We don't really see his face. We know that Dave and Tony were bad, but Rick and crew had Merle and Shane, who's like debatable, even Daryl, at least at first. More Merle and Shane, though. So just because they had a couple of guys like that didn't mean the whole group was like that. So maybe Tony and Dave, maybe their whole group isn't. When the car pulls up with more of their guys and they tell Randall, there's rumors everywhere, we got to go, jump. And Randall gets stuck. And the guy says, I got to go. I'm sorry. And I know it's silly, but just the fact that he bothers to say sorry.
Yeah. I thought that weirdly. I was like, do you know what? Like, he's not just running off. He does say so. Like, that says something.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
He's not like, sorry, sucker. He's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then, as far as Randall shooting at them, I mean, his group thinks they've killed some of their people, which they did. And even was he shooting at them? I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if I actually saw that.
I think he must have been, because he was on the roof and some of the shots that were coming, they couldn't see where they were coming from. Also, there was only 3 of them turned up. Randall's one's dead on the one's been shot and is like, whoa. Third guy, we don't know what happens to him. Does he get eaten? So I think it's likely that Randall was shooting at them, but I couldn't swear to it.
What happened to the third guy? That's a good point. Didn't Glenn shoot one of the guys coming in the door or something?
Yes,
I think that might have been him.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's assume he was shooting at them. I mean, they killed people from his group. He's a kid in a group. I think you could see. I mean, Rick had Glenn going in and killing people in their sleep.
Yeah, no judgment. I wasn't doing that in a way of like, he was shooting at them actually, but like, I think he was. But I don't think that's the wrong thing in that situation
necessarily. So that's, at least with the information we have up to now, the kind of pros and cons of how to treat him. And it's interesting how Rick and them handle it. They quickly come up with a few ideas. Leave him, put him down.
I find this scene so funny because Randall's like, like listening to all of it. I was like, this
and Rick's
is
like,
awful.
Shut up or I'll shoot you.
That is my favorite. Like, shut up or I will shoot you. Just like, what the fuck?
And he's serious too.
And Randall, they keep being like, Glenn's like, shut up. And Herschel's like, shut up. And Randall's like, please don't cut my leg off. Like, it's like something out of our amazing improv podcast, Welcome to the Apocalypse. It's very funny.
Right. And they're getting ready to chop his leg off. Get those 2 sticks up. And then the zombies come and they just fuck it and pull his leg up from the spike. And by the way, like, that spike looked like it went right through his not femur, tibia. I forget what it is. The tibia, the big bone in your leg. Like it was thicker than the bone, so it seems like it would have just shattered it. And Herschel's like, "Oh, he'll be up and around in a couple of weeks."
Yeah, no, like, I've tied up the calf as best I could. I'm like, maybe don't be drunk when you're doing this, Herschel. Like, maybe you would make better judgment calls. I don't know, but yeah.
But they blindfold him and take him back to treat him, and then they plan to take him out and drop him off. So that's where we're left.
I love T-Dog shouting, "Who is that?" About, no, or who the hell is that in the car? It really cracked me up.
And then Glenn says, "That's Randall."
Yeah. And everyone's just like, eh?
And this is what's his name? I forgot his name, but he was Mrs. Maisel's wife in husband.
Yeah.
In Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Oh my God! So he was. God, he's young here.
Yeah,
he's really young.
What the hell's Michael Zegan?
Never liked that show, but I recognize him from the couple of episodes I did watch.
I remember thinking he looked familiar because I only watched like 2 or 3 episodes too, and I'm like, that's Randall.
There's a few actors over the rewatch who were going to be like, oh yeah, they went on to do. I always remember the guy who was really big in Gotham, but had that tiny bit part as Sam. Was it Sam at the end of season 5 who gets killed at Terminus? And it was Robin Lloyd Taylor.
Robin Lord Taylor, yeah,
yeah. I was always like, oh, that's fun.
The Penguin,
yeah. So Randall, I think this whole episode is like one big trolley problem of killing people to save people, and I don't think there's an easy answer with the Randall thing, which I think is why it's still quite an irritating debate years on, because you can argue it either way. To me,
it is irritating. It's not as bad as Negan, but
yeah. But
I'm not like, because now we're going into that and I'm curious how it's going to hit me now, because I felt so strongly about it back then, but I also remember just being irritated by it.
Yeah. So something I noticed, and it kind of relates to Randall as well, is the way Glenn is in the situation. So Glenn is frustrated and he whispers, "Why won't they leave?" And then Herschel asks him, "Would you?" Like, and I think that's very
Oh,
humanizing
that's great. I
because
didn't
it's
catch
that
that.
thing about being loyal to your people, and I think that
Hmm.
humanizes them a bit.
And being empathetic too, understanding
Yeah.
something from someone else's perspective. Glenn's just like, go away, but Herschel's like, well, what if we were outside and our friends were in
Yeah.
here and we thought somebody might have killed him? Would we just leave? No.
Herschel's really like getting the measure of Glenn and kind of testing him a bit in this episode, and not in a mean way, but he's,
Yeah,
his little
it's his
girl.
possible son-in-law.
Yeah.
Future son-in-law.
But the other thing that I'd completely forgotten or hadn't realized is when they come to open the door, Rick is ready to just shoot. And when the door starts to open, Glenn throws himself in front of the door because he doesn't want people to get shot. And I'm just like, oh, that's such a generous impulse that he's like
Wow,
throwing
you're
himself
catching
in
all
front.
these details.
Yeah, but I
That's
was just like,
great.
why has he done that? And I'm like, oh, it's
Mhm.
because he's scared and he doesn't want this to escalate more and he can see that Rick is ready to just shoot. I do think watching it now, I'm like, Glenn, you shouldn't have done that because poor Randall's about to suffer a lot more because of what you've just done than if they just come in and gotten shot straight away. But I think it was interesting to
Mhm.
see Glenn in this episode just be so young, like almost like Randall like they're similar ages, they're just on different sides of the
Yeah,
conflict.
and
And it
also
really struck me.
I just the way Glenn is acting so uh, emotionally vulnerable and impacted and kind of naive at times and struggling, and also even now they're like, Glenn, go try to get the car and I'll cover
Yeah,
you. It's like, oh, here we go again. We're sending this kid into the heart of danger. This is like the
yeah,
worst one. People are shooting at us, it's worse than
yeah.
the well zombie even, maybe. I don't know. Those are both pretty bad. But anyway, and kind of being the butt of jokes and stuff. And I think Steven Yeun, I just feel like he had his whole career as a reaction against this. That's not me.
Yeah,
I'm going to play
yeah, I do
all these
think so.
different types of characters. So you'll know that I have range, but also like I'm a complicated person and I'm not this like goofy, super positive do-gooder all the time.
We were in the car yesterday, the day before, and on randomly on shuffle came that is it Incubus Drive that he sings in Beef, whenever tomorrow comes. And I was like, oh, I like the Stephen Yeun version better. And then I just started thinking about how great Beef was. And I
Hmm.
encourage all of you, if you've not watched Beef,
Yeah,
pause
you'll
this
see him playing a
podcast,
much different character in
go
that.
watch Beef, enjoy it, and then come back and do the rewatch with us
Yeah,
because it's
come
so
back
good.
and listen to the episode we did on beef, and then come back to the rewatch.
Oh, so good. And yeah, I thought the Glenn of it all and his instinct to kind of try and de-escalate was really, really touching. I guess I'm kind of talking about Glenn now in relation to Randall, but
It's all right. Yeah, I mean, even
yeah,
like Rick, they're like, somebody in there? It was a little silly because there's like
yeah,
2 inches separating them, and he
yeah,
just pushed the door closed and wouldn't let them in, and they're quiet, and then Rick's like, they drew on us, and Herschel's like, why did you say anything?
yeah.
And then but what are they gonna do? And then they're like, are they alive? Is Tony and Dave alive? And maybe Rick should have said, they left. At least give it a shot,
Or
right?
it's a me, Tony.
It's Tony. I don't want you to see me.
It's me, Dave. And they're like,
No.
oh, cool, guys. We'll be back soon, okay? And they're
Okay,
like,
just
oh,
go on without us.
I'm convinced.
We're having some drinks.
We met some cool people. Okay, go away now. They're like, wow, Tony sounds really drunk. We're like, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
Tony. No, but I mean, I don't know. There's probably nothing he could do. But I was just
yeah,
like, was it the right thing to be honest? No, they're dead. They drew on us. We had no choice. But he had to say something.
yeah. I viewed this as like he probably did a module in hostage negotiation or de-escalation like
Mm.
10 years ago on a career progression day and was like, I think I'm supposed to like de-escalate this somehow. He does try. He appeals to their better natures, but obviously
Yeah.
it's not going to
No.
work. And I do feel like Herschel feels like he should be wearing an "I was stupid" t-shirt like 2 times over in this episode. I loved. We were talking about Rick and Herschel as this kind of father-son relationship, and it's interesting that Rick's kind of sassiness with Herschel continues in this episode. He's like, it would have helped if you'd come to gun training. And Herschel, I
Yeah.
love it. He's like, I can shoot, I just don't like to. And he
That's a
can.
great
He's a good
line.
shot. In fact, did you
Yeah.
not get shot by Herschel?
I've gotten shot many times by him
Yeah.
with this magic shotgun. Yeah.
And yeah, I like that. I liked Scott Wilson a lot more. I'd forgotten how much more I liked Herschel after his descent back into alcoholism and despair. And I'm like, oh, there's our dude.
Yeah. Yeah. He's back now. And the way that he stood up to Shane,
Yeah. Oh.
this is my farm. And
Oh.
I don't want you here, but they convinced me to have you here. But you just need to shut up.
Yep.
I was like,
And he
yeah.
does. He doesn't say anything.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he does. Yeah. Because Shane, I feel like there's a little boy in there to a degree,
There really is. There really
Yeah.
is. And I think, yeah, the scene with Rick negotiating that we were talking about, I love that he's like, let's chalk this up to what it was. Wrong place, wrong, bang, gunshot.
Mhm.
All hell breaks loose. So good. And Herschel slides Glenn a gun, which I think is nice.
Yeah.
Our future son-in-law. Ironically, the dudes outside say, if you could help us not get killed, we'd appreciate it. I'm like, well, kind of the opposite.
Yeah, he said there's a bunch of corpses out here or something, which I thought was great. Great lines.
Yeah.
Good lines in this one. I got to give it that. When just mentioning that there's a little boy in Shane, I was like, yeah, Daryl too, at least now. And anybody else? I mean, Glenn is a kid, but he's growing up. Rick, I don't think that way of. Like a little boy, neither Dale or Herschel or even T-Dog necessarily. No.
I think part of it is to do with parenting. Like you get the sense that Daryl and Shane both had fucked up parent dynamics.
Yeah, and just different people are different. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that is one thing about Daryl. Part of it is just that he lives a long time, but he loses that to a degree anyway. He becomes more of a man he has to say, but
everyone keeps fucking giving him their children to look after.
That's right. That'll do it.
He's essentially the foster care system in the apocalypse. Funny. Like he's got no choice. Like I have no time for me anymore, dog. No time for me. I can't go hunting. Can't do the shit I like. Just got to make sure RJ's had his fucking dinner. Like, yeah, okay. But it's funny because I think in this episode you see Glenn struggling with growing up in the sense of like he gets so I thought this was really interesting about masculinity actually and how Glenn feels so emasculated by what's happened. He says to Maggie, your dad saved my life today and Rick saved us both and I froze. I had to stay alive, and he's angry. He describes it as being selfish, but I wonder if there's a bit of him that sees it as being a bit cowardly as well.
Oh yeah, I think he does. Yeah, because he wasn't there for Rick and Herschel.
And Maggie
but he was
like,
though. Actually,
he was
fine. He totally helped. Yeah.
And Maggie loves him. She loves it. He's like, I thought of you as the bullet hit the wall, and you can just see she's like heart eyes emoji. She's like, oh, did you?
And he's like, I don't think you're getting what I'm saying here. I don't like this.
She goes in for a passionate smooch, and then he walks out. And you know what? Maggie looks bewildered, and I don't blame her. I'm like, what a day! What a day for Maggie.
That made her like him even more when he walked away. By the way.
Oh, I know, right? But it was. I'd remembered when I came into this episode, I was like, Glenn struggles a lot with what happens here, and I was like waiting for it to be like something really cowardly, and I'm like, not really. I think we described it. I was sitting watching it with Peter, and we're like, Glenn's just acting like a normal human in this situation, which is I'm in shock, and he needs a bit of a pep talk from Rick, who comes in. Big dumpster brother, and is like,
see,
it's gonna be okay,
Yeah, I actually liked it more when it was just that. Like, you're in a situation where there's a firefight. You've never had anything like that happen before. There's fucking zombies.
Pizzas.
Of course she might freak out, right? And even it was only just for a second, and then he got back into it, and that's human, and I like that. But then when they made it, I was worried that you would lose me and be hurt, and I didn't want to hurt you, and I'm like, okay, this is the soap opera part to me.
Yeah, it's very angsty. I'm like, I can tell that you probably did listen to Incubus. Like that makes sense.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
So you're talking about masculinity and things around that. I had a point about Shane.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting to me that the show has had two kind of main antagonists so far, Merle and Shane, and they're both people who were part of the group and just kind of crumbled under the pressure of the zombie apocalypse and became people that are hard to deal with. And think we've all had people like that in our lives to one degree or another that are just a lot, at work or whatever. Probably people listening to me right now are thinking of someone. I know I am. And it's you. No, I'm just kidding.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
It's not at all you. And when Andrea says, you ever consider a lighter touch, and points out she thinks the things that he said are actually correct, but it's his presentation that leaves something to be desired. I'm like, yes, I don't agree with everything, but I do agree with some of it. Like having zombies in the barn, probably not a great idea, but he's just such an a-hole about it and explosive. And he just is like a bomb going off, and he's a bull in a china shop, and that never goes over well. But he ignores it. He's like, Dale sent you. And then he's interesting. I found he says, I'll always be the odd man out, because that feels like that's what he has as his identity. And he's always trying to argue with people that he's right and they should accept him. But when it comes right down to it, he thinks of himself this way as the odd man out. And I feel like that's something we all do, a self-fulfilling prophecy, where if we refuse to take a look at ourselves and maybe consider the possibility that we can change, then we just create our reality reactively with no control over it, and it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know, that's kind of psychobabble, but I think
I think it's true. And I think he's clearly lived vicariously through Rick for a number of years, and when Rick went, he had suddenly had the chance to not be the odd man out, to have a place of belonging. And he's infatuated with it. He's infatuated with the idea. He's infatuated with Laurie.
For a moment, he was in heaven. Yeah, there.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though he was kind of a jerk leader, and you could tell they probably didn't totally respect him, but they knew that he knew how to do a lot of things, and he was calling the shots, so they kind of went along with it,
Well, him sitting at the head of that dinner table, eating Patricia's green beans and cussing, and Dale's completely right when he says, he doesn't want Rick to come back, or Herschel, because he's got everything he wants here and no one to tell him not to.
But I mean, even back at the quarry, it just seemed like I don't think Shane could ever hold on to a situation like that for too long. No. He would fuck it up.
And I think I thought it was interesting that he says he should have left with Andrea when he had the chance.
Yeah, well, I'm just like,
he's not wrong. I think he should have.
Why didn't she say, oh, well, let's go?
He would never leave when the baby's on the table.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that.
She does at that point.
She says,
she knows Laurie's pregnant.
Yeah, he says, maybe she's figured it out, huh? Because it wasn't made explicit. He says, I should have left with you when I had the chance. And from her point of view, unless she's figured it all out, if I was her, I'd be like, what do you mean? We can go now.
I think she has, because I think she's a bit frosty towards him after Laurie reveals she's pregnant. And I think she knows the two of them were hooking up. She's not dumb, Andrea. She acts like a bit of a pick-me, but she's not dumb.
She's not super dumb, although she did say something dumb in this episode, which was when she's like, oh yeah, Laurie told me to watch